Hey everybody, I'm Evan, and today is a very special day for two reasons. First of all, we are going to be doing our top 100 games of all time, starting with 100 through 91 in this video. And the second reason this is a special day is I have a guest.
Hello, I'm Lizzy with Long Distance Gamers. We play games remotely and tell us what we thought about it.
Yeah, so we're going to be going through our top 100s together. We have not discussed our lists ahead of time, so it's going to be a surprise, and we're going to talk about them. Yeah, so we'll probably have some crossover. We have played some games together.
I would think so.
Last time I made a top 100 was in 2018. There was no video recorded, but I made note of all of the selections from before. There will be some that were on in 2018. How about you?
Yes. I made a 2021 video with the rest of Long Distance Gamers. Just the top 10 though.
Okay.
So I'll make note of those when they come out.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't make a top 100. At least if I did, I can't find it anywhere.
All right, but that's okay because this is a new 100, new year, and lots of new games, right? Okay.
I would assume that a few games came out between now and 2018.
They certainly
And
did.
I do want to say, the end of December is when I put my list together, so
yes.
It's set.
Correct. That would be the same for me. Right at middle end of December is when this list was compiled. Okay. Well, without further ado, let's get started. Go ahead.
So my number 100 is a cooperative game, and it's a pirate theme. So it is Dead Man Tell No Tales.
Okay.
So you're going into this ship that's bursting out into flames, basically trying to loot it and get out alive. So that's why I love it. It's very thematic and chancy with the dice. And who doesn't love a cooperative pirate-themed game?
Is there also zombies in that game? Is that one?
It has not zombies, but skeletons.
Oh, okay. So there's like a ship on fire full of undead creatures, and you have to loot it.
Yes. Although there is an expansion that brings out the sea monster.
Okay.
Whatever not Cthulhu, but the sea monster equivalent.
The Kraken.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That game sounds like a lot of fun.
Have you ever played it?
I have not. I have heard about it over the years, though.
Okay. Well, we can change that.
Maybe. Okay. So, my number 100 is a game, it's a roll and write. There are a few roll and writes on this list. And this one is Three Sisters. This is probably the most combo-y roll and write that I have. It's a farming game where you're basically just doing gardening, planting crops, harvesting crops, using those crops to get tools to harvest more crops, and you're filling out these 2 sheets, and yeah, you're growing stuff, getting points, and making your garden better.
Okay.
I assume you've never played this one?
I have not, but that's the one with like pumpkins on
Correct.
the cover, right?
Yes.
I've seen the cover.
I think it's a lot of fun because sometimes you can have some really mega turns where you're growing stuff, getting more actions, doing more stuff, watering the plants, buying more tools, all that sort of thing. I have a really good time with that. That's 100, Three Sisters.
Okay. Sounds like it's an interesting game.
I enjoy it.
So my 99 actually came out in 2023. So it's a game where you're going through a pathway that's a historical figure went, trying to collect these animals, trying to do different activities. It's a worker placement game where you have specialized workers and you're putting seals on them to make them either more diverse or more specialized in certain ones. It's called Darwin's Journey. Yeah, it's really fun, and I love that there's 2 different modes you can play. That there's 2 different sides of the board if you got the Kickstarter version, but I think the normal version has it on a separate board. But still, you can have these islands that you can go and explore. You can go pick up these animals and then turn them in so that you can prove the theory of evolution. We'll follow in Darwin's footsteps.
Sure. I've heard a lot of good things about that one. I know it made a lot of people's like top lists of last year, but I have not played it. Okay, so my number 99 is there was a new edition released in 2024, but it's actually a reprint of an older game, and it's a trick-taking party game, and that's called My Favorite Things. I really fell in love with this. I really fell in love with this game this year. So basically, what you do is you assign other players assign the other players a topic, and then there's like these dry erase cards where you write your top 5 favorite things in that topic and one thing you dislike, and then you play a trick-taking game with that. so it works on 2 levels. If you know the people, you can kind of play it strategically, like, say it's, honestly, like Pokemon have come up, right? So, like, do you like this Pokemon more than this other Pokemon? And you have to try to figure that out to try to win, like, the tricks. And the topics can be anything. There are some suggestions, like cards in there, but you can assign topics whatever you want, obscure or common or whatever. And then if you are playing with people you don't know really well, then it's kind of like a get to know you type of game, right? Like if you don't
like
know
an icebreaker.
Yeah, exactly. So if you don't know how they feel about these things, well, you're going to learn about them. And I think it's really fun. It was a big hit this year with my family and some other people we showed it to. And again, it used to be called My Favorite Things. Now it's just called My Favorite Things. I think it was a Japanese game that was released a number of years ago and was hard to get. But now it's pretty widely available. So that's, my number 99, My Favorite Things.
Yeah, I think you've told me about that one.
I have talked about it before. It's a good time.
Okay. Well, my 98 is a game that is based on creating a D&D character.
Okay.
So it's called Role Player. Mm-hmm. So you have your character and your class that you can either choose or it could be randomly assigned. And then you're just drafting these dice to put into the sections to try to build the best character that you can. And as someone who doesn't like role-playing games, but I love the creation of characters part of the role-playing game. So I love that boring part. But the game's not boring. But it's based on the quote-unquote boring part of a role-playing game.
I don't know if I agree with that, because I think creating characters is actually kind of fun.
I agree.
And I guess gamifying it makes it even better, right? All right, cool. I have never actually played that game. Obviously I'm aware of it, but cool. Okay, so my number 98 is a very simple game, and it is called Vegetable Stock. This is a game that I own, I don't know, like 5 or 6 versions of, because they keep putting them out in Taiwan, which is where the game originally came from. But it has now been picked up by Arcane Wonders, so you can get it, anywhere. Vegetable Stock is the simplest game ever, where basically there's a vegetable market that fluctuates based on the cards that you draft. Everyone goes around, drafts a card, and then whichever one is left over adjusts the market. And then at the end of the game, you add up your points based on the values of the vegetables, and that's it. Sometimes it takes like 5 minutes to play. But, there's been various versions of it that include board games and include Hello Kitty, like ice cream cones or whatever that was. I know. So you have played a version of this with me.
Yes, the board game version at Grand Con.
That's correct. So, this...
I do really like it.
It is really fun. So, that's my... and I just think it's brilliant. I think the simplicity is brilliant. And that's why that's my number 98, Vegetable Stock.
Awesome. Well, my 97 is an older game, 2016 old.
Sure.
It's a deck crafting game. You don't get any more cards, so it's not exactly a deck builder, but your cards get better. It's called Mystic Veil. So you get to get these cards that you get to slide into these sheet protectors so that you have a top, middle, and bottom, and it beefs up the cards. So that way you get better and better throughout the game to get cooler stuff.
Yeah, I've never actually played that game, but I find the concept really interesting.
There was another game that like had a darker theme. Did you play that one?
No, I never have.
I forget what it's called.
No,
I didn't get it because I have pretty much everything for Mystic Veil. I didn't want to start a whole new one.
Yeah, I hear that. I feel like there's a couple of them, right? I don't know. Anyway, that's cool. That game sounds fun. All right, so my number 97 is a game that came out in 2024. And this is a game called Biohack. This is a worker placement game. The idea is you're like, I don't know, like augmented humans doing genetic research, trying to create like either mythological or like weird combinations of animals. Like some of them are like normal, not normal, but like a werewolf or a Pegasus. And some of them are like hybrid animals like a dog tar, where it's like a dog minotaur. So it's a standard kind of...
That sounds cool.
It's a standard kind of game where you're like, gathering the DNA and then using the DNA to make these creatures. But what I like so much about it is the worker placement. So what you do is everyone simultaneously chooses which spots they're going to go to based on like the cards that you play. So everybody plays them all at the same time. And then the strength of the spot is based on how many people are there. So if you're the first one to pull your guy off of that spot, you're going to get more resources and stuff like that. And then you actually then move that guy to the other half of the board where there's another like worker placement spot. So you're kind of hoping people go to the same spot, and then you're trying to get to the other spots faster. So it's an interesting sort of puzzle to figure out, which order to pull your guys off in and which order to take the other spots. I think it works really well. And the theme is cool and the art is interesting, and I've had a really good time with that this year, even though I'm maybe not that great at it, but it is what it is.
So is that one where you kind of sometimes might go to a spot that you don't necessarily really want to go to because you're hoping other people go to? So you can pull off and get those benefits?
Yeah, so if you're kind of getting an inkling that a lot of people are going to be doing a specific action this turn, you're like, well, if I go there, I also go there, and I can load up on that particular resource this turn, yes, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it.
I thought it would be, when you said bio hack, I thought you were saying like it was going to be like a science-y themed game where you're trying to control viruses.
No, right, no, it's the bio as in like the biological mixing of DNA and weird creatures. Sure.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So my 96 is a game that came out in 2008.
Ooh.
It is a racing game where you're trying to get your dogs to go either at the same speed so that they go straight, or speed up one so that it'll kind of curve that way. So it's called Snowtails. So it's a hand management game, I would say, where you're trying to manage what cards you put down so that you can go the way that you want to without crashing on the side of it and getting to the finish line first.
Yeah, that's cool. I've heard about that game too. I've never actually played it, of course. But is there like a track? Is there like a board that you're racing on?
Yeah, it's a track that you can put out, and you can put it in multiple different shapes.
Okay, cool.
So that way every game can be slightly different.
You can make it harder or easier, I suppose, like less turns, more turns, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Exactly.
That sounds fun, and that sounds like an interesting, unique sort of mechanism too. That's
Agreed.
like, I don't think there's anything that's been like that, right? Where you're trying to balance the card play.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah,
There's been quite a few racing games, but I think that's unique in that mechanism.
Cool. Very cool. All right. So, my number 96 was my number 93 in 2018. So it dropped 3 spots.
Ooh.
And this one is a children's game. This game is called Animal Upon Animal. So is it fun? Is it funny that so with the caveat that we have a big box with 3 versions mixed in. We have Animal Upon Animal, we have Animal Upon Animal Crest Climbers, and we have Here We Turn. So Crest Climbers just adds like other animals like cows and like Christmas trees and beavers.
How is a Christmas tree an animal?
It isn't, but you can stack it. And then the Here We Turn adds like a spinning platform that there's a shark going around. So sometimes when you roll a die into either like place animals or give animals for other people to place. So sometimes in the Here We Turn version you have to spin it. So and there's some other levels of difficulty. So like you can make it so it's more wobbly than others based on like the little piece you use to spin. So yeah, so right, I know I didn't say, but this is like the easiest, simplest like dexterity stacking game where there's just like wooden animal meeples, and because we have those 3 versions, we have like a ton of different animals. So what we usually do is we just draft all different animals. I think you're probably supposed to play with the same animals, but we don't. Anybody can grab whatever they want, stack up these animals, and I've been playing this with the kids for years and years and years. Since they were very, very little. And I still really enjoy it just for its simplicity. There are other dexterity stacking sort of games that I like Rhino Hero, but for some reason this one always is just, I consider this one better than all of those. So, yeah.
It sounds like you've gotten years of hours.
I have a lot of play. I have a lot of plays of this game. And that's why it's in my top 100. That is, Animal Upon Animal.
Okay, awesome. So my number 5, this is the most unique one of this chunk. So my very first convention ever was Origins 2017. I was at the Mayfair booth playing a whole bunch of games, and for there you tried to get like the sets of the different colors. And then once you got a set of the different colors, and they were like different level of games basically, you would then be able to turn it in for a prize. One of the games was actually a prototype that they were going to be coming out later in the year, and then they go out of business or sell off and they're no longer there. So I couldn't get my hands on this game that I played the prototype of, and it was awesome and fun. So I got the German version of it. It's German on the back. It's all you can eat. Board Game Geek lists it as food chain. So you have a deck of cards that are worms, birds, cats, and dogs. And so one at a time, simultaneously everyone will put out a card and then reveal it. And worms will go in the middle. Birds will eat the worms, cats will eat the birds, dogs will eat the cats, and then these ticks will then eat the dogs. And so if your animal eats but is then not eaten, you get to get those back and you'll get the victory points because there's stars on them. And so at the end of the round, once everyone's played out their cards, whoever has the most points is the winner of that round. And you play so that every person gets to be the top dog or super dog.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's for tie breaking. If there's not enough worms for all the birds to eat, only the bird closest to that super dog gets to eat that bird or eat that worm.
Wow. That's something. Yeah, you came up with a game I've never heard of.
Goal achieved. We can end the top 100 now.
That's funny. So I assume it's probably been released as Food Chain somewhere else. That's why it has multiple names.
Well, the Food Chain picture has Mayfair's logo on it.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if it went through all the legalities to be called Food Chain, and then just is all you can eat. I don't quite know the behind the scenes.
Yeah, sure.
I'm also kind of surprised that it actually is English all you can eat for a German game.
Yeah. Right. Huh. Well, that sounds fun. That sounds like a fun little card game.
I'll bring it next time we come up to Grand Con.
Cool. I'd like to check it out because, again, like I said, that's something I'd never heard of. So I'd love to try it. Alrighty. So, my number 95 was 29 in 2018. So it's dropped a significant amount. And the reason is, it's a drafting game. And I feel like maybe there have been other better, like there's a lot more drafting games that are available nowadays. And this is Sushi Go, specifically Sushi Go Party. Because Sushi Go Party has the big box with all the different things you can mix in. And there's endless combinations where you're basically, just drafting. All you're just doing is drafting cards and trying to get sets that will score you points. And the different types of little sushi foods score differently, based on what you've mixed into the deck. And I think it's a lot of fun. My only issue with the game is there's these little player pawns that sometimes are similar in color, and I can never remember what color I am. because I'm like, wait, was I this shade of blue or was I that shade of blue? Wait a minute. Well, how many points do I have? Where am I? What's my score? So luckily other people I play with can seem to remember that better than me. So,
well, that's good. So do you like sushi in real life?
Not
so
really.
it's like, does theme speak to you? Or
No, not at all. Nope. It just happens to be, I mean, I like food, but, sushi, whatever. But they're cute sushi, so I wouldn't want to eat them anyway.
Aww. Yeah, I've played the game a few times. I like it. It's a nice drafting game.
Yep. It's simple enough that, it's still on my list at number 95.
Okay. So my number 94 is a gateway game, or a welcoming game, whichever terminology you like. It's basically Gamer's Yahtzee. So you roll the dice, you get to keep some, you put some, or you get to re-roll some, and after 3 rolls, whatever you have is what you do. So you try to fight the other players, you try to get points, you try to get energy. So it's King of Tokyo.
Yep.
I know you already know what it was. But I love that it can also be, you can get the cards that are special powers based on who you choose. Or you could play without those and just play the base generic game, which is a little bit easier to palate for newer gamers. Mm-hmm. And then it's just engaging enough for a gamer to really enjoy playing it with their family or friends that don't particularly like heavy games.
No, but I think it's good, silly fun. So this would have been on my list in 2018, but it is not on my list currently.
No.
I just don't think it like, we played it a lot, when we first got it, and I just don't think we've played it a lot recently, like not much recently. It just doesn't come out like it used to, so it's dropped off my list.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but still, it's fun. I enjoy it. We still have it in the collection, so.
Yeah, you've kept it in your 1,000 games. That's something.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so my number 94 is an older game, but I didn't play it until last year for the first time when the Super Deluxe version came out, and that is Castles of Burgundy. So this is one of those games where I'd heard about for years. Everybody raved about how much fun it was. It was a lot of people's top game. I'm like, okay, sure, I guess. Missy, my wife, has played it, and she insisted it was good. I'm like, sure, I guess it probably is. And then she went and backed that Super Deluxe edition with all the the castle minis and the wooden tiles and all this beautiful overproduction. And that was the first time I played it. And you know what? It is a really fun game. So, I assume a lot of people know what this game is, but you're rolling the dice and you're, using them to draft tiles and buildings and resources and castles and building out your little, I don't know what they call it, the kingdom thing. And you're scoring points. And it's, I think it's a classic game for a reason, because it is a lot of fun. Have you ever played Castles of Burgundy?
I have not.
Wow.
I thought about backing that super deluxe version, but I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money for a game that I've never played.
I would not have done it, but since Missy had played it before, she was the one who insisted that, we need to get this because it's really fun and you're really going to like it. And she was right. So,
and even if you didn't like it, she loves it.
Exactly. So, that was my number 94, Castles of Burgundy.
Okay. Well, my number 93, this one did not exactly receive huge praise, but I absolutely adore it. It's a worker placement game where you're trying to build the Terracotta Army. It's actually called Terracotta Army. But you place your workers out, you try to get clay, you try to get tools, you try to get all these things to build out the special armies, and you put them in this grid in a way that tries to get you the most points, whether it be you want to score for this end of round scoring, or you want to try to get ownership of one of these that has an end of game scoring if you're close to it, and then there's rows and columns that score. It's really interesting. And I've really loved my plays of it so much that I printed off the solo rules that they had.
Yeah, that's a game that kind of came and went, right? It didn't really get a lot of buzz, I guess.
I was worried about it selling out.
Okay, well, they're
and
probably
then
not.
I didn't hear much of it.
Yeah, they're probably not going to reprint it. So, it looks really cool. I've seen pictures of it, and all the little mini statue things that you're arranging in that grid. It look really cool, but I have not played it.
Do you have it?
No, I do not. But that's okay.
I'll say that's one that we could play remotely.
Well, unfortunately, I would probably need a copy of that, wouldn't I?
Yes.
Okay. Well, maybe if I find one cheap someday, because it is a really cool looking game.
Yeah, or I could bring it up for Grand Con. just make a list of all the games you want me to bring up.
We'll have a trunk full of games when you drive up.
Yeah.
All right. So, my number 93 is one that gets some criticism because people like to say it's not a game, specifically because there's a heavy app presence, and that is Chronicles of Crime. So I think it's a game because there's an arc to the game and there's a score at the end, right? It's a cooperative game where you're basically just solving some sort of crime. It is very app heavy, which I think is one of those things that turns a lot of people off, right? But you need that app for this. So you're basically just going around to these different locations, interviewing these people. The app is really cool because there's timed events. So if you take too much time talking to one person, you go back to a different location and that person's not there anymore, or they've been murdered, or something like that. Or,
oh my goodness.
Have you ever played Chronicles of Crime?
No, but I really want to.
It's really fun. It's fun to sit down, play a case, and even if you don't do that well, sometimes it's easy to miss evidence or miss a person that you should have asked a specific question to, and that can kind of throw the game off a little bit. I know there was one time where we did not figure out we figured out everything except who the person who was guilty was, and but that's okay. It's still a fun experience, and I have really good time with it. There's a bunch of expansions. There's a bunch of downloadable cases in the app, so there's a lot of content that is available for that, and we have not gone through nearly all of it. So, that's my number 93, Chronicles of Crime.
Okay, well, write that down for one I want to play next Grand Con. Okay, so 92 came out in 2020. It got compared to another game that the only similarities were they were both deck builders. They feel completely different. This was the sci-fi version of it. But you go around placing your people out, doing things, getting cards, fighting. You can go to the battleground area and fight to get the end of round victory points. And it's basically a race to 10, I think it was. Sun points, essentially. And it is called Dune Imperium.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I definitely love deck builders. So anything that lets me build up a juicy deck to make me get overpowered by the end of the game, I really enjoy.
So my question is, do you have any connection to the Dune property? Like, do you care about the Dune movies or the books or any of that stuff?
See, I've tried to watch the Dune movie. I have tried multiple times.
Okay.
My mistake is I'm watching it in the later evenings.
Okay.
So I fall asleep every time.
And they are long movies. Yeah. So
have you watched it?
I have not. I feel like I've seen parts of the one that came out in like the 70s or 80s or whatever. Or back in the day, but I don't really have any connection with that. I've never actually played this, but obviously it's a highly regarded game. A lot of people do like this game.
Agreed.
But, I have not played it. Okay. So, 92. My number 92 is a game called Yin Yang. Have you heard of this game? I may have talked about it.
Not at all.
I may have talked about it in a video before. It is also a Taiwanese game. It's an area control game at heart. We're basically just trying to spread across the whatever it is, Taiwan or China. And what's interesting about it is there's a gimmick. There's a brass turtle shell. And what you do is you put these metal coins into it, and then you shake it up, and then you spread them out on the table. So depending on the side they are is how everyone has to program their actions. And then as you go through the game, there's more little tiles that you can also use to program your actions. So ideally, you want to set up a chain of actions that help you spread out and hopefully not get in other people's way to mess up your plan. So I don't know. I think this is a really clever game with the way the action selection works. It seems like it's going to be really complicated, but it ends up playing pretty quickly. Especially and it accelerates. You don't have as many actions to program beginning, but as the game goes on, you're moving all around and dropping all these things, and so I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's and it has the gimmick, and I do like a gimmick in games with the metal shell.
That shell sounds interesting.
Yeah, it is. It's very interesting. So yeah, that's why it's in my number 92, and that is Yin Yang.
So I'm assuming one of the sides is the yin and the other side's the yang?
Correct. It's weird because there's these little tiny stickers that you have to stick on the coins because they're in Chinese. So for clarity, you put a white sticker or a black sticker on each side or whatever. These puny little stickers just so you can see what they are. Yeah. But it works.
Or you could paint maybe one side.
You could. But I have not done that. I use the stickers that they came with. Yeah.
If it stays connected, that works.
Yep.
Okay, so my last one for this list, it came out in 2021 from Mighty Boards Games and was designed by David Turksey. It is an economic simulation game where you are trying to go through the world collecting artifacts, and we're alien species because the world has gone extinct. So this is Excavation Earth. And I really the theme is really cool. How you're going around and you're just, this is a toaster. This is just junk. It's worth hardly anything versus a teddy bear. Now that is where it's at. But the different colors, it'll change based on sales that have been going on. So if you flood the market with a certain color, a certain type, it will degrade that, and you have to be careful that you don't degrade it too much, because if you want to make back-to-back sales, well, then you just lost a whole lot of money.
I can't believe I've never played this game because I've heard of it, and that theme sounds something that I would really enjoy. That sounds fun. That sounds really fun to me. Finding those artifacts, and excavating Earth. Yeah.
Yeah. The downside of it is Mighty Boards game. So the board, I have trouble sticking it on this table.
Oh, really? Okay.
It is a huge game.
Okay.
And then the expansion adds this other board, and so trying to get it all to fit even on here was...
okay.
Whew.
Okay.
And, I mean, I played remotely with Brooks and Kitty, so theirs was like this much space compared to normal this much space. So
Man.
I'm like, man, I don't know how I would play this game without a gigantic table.
Yeah.
That's one of the downsides
Okay.
of their
Okay.
boards.
Okay. Sounds cool, though.
Yeah, it's an amazing theme. Lots of fun. Yeah.
All right,
That's my
great.
91, Excavation Earth.
All right, I can't believe we've come to the end here. My number 91 is another roll and write. It's a roll and write version of another game that I do have in my collection, but it took me years and years to play. I used to play the roll and write for years, and that is La Granja No Siesta. So have you heard of La Granja, like the kind of farming, like the heavier farming game with the multi-use cards? Well, this is basically this is the roll and write version that uses like the dice. So you basically just dice drafting and like harvesting, like sounds like the other game I talked about, harvesting goods and like getting workers to like improve your actions and like building up the roof on your farm for bonuses. Sometimes it feels a little on rails where you're kind of all doing the same thing, but I don't know. It's a game that I have a lot of fun with. Just drafting the dice, trying to get, shipping these goods out to different places and trying to do that first before the other players, I guess. Because they put out the newer version of La Granja, like they put out the deluxe version of that last year or the year before, and I ended up picking up that, and that's really fun too. But since I had played the roll and write first, this is the one that's on my list right now. Yeah. La Granja.
Okay, it sounds interesting.
I think there were talks about reprinting it, but it has not happened yet because it's way out of print. So I don't know how available it is at this point. Probably not at all. But maybe one day they will do like a deluxe version of the roll and write. Maybe. I don't know.
So are you running low on the sheets, or do you have like laminated sheets? That
No, I feel like there was a lot of sheets in there, like a big stack of sheets. So no, I got plenty. But we do have that laminator if it ever comes down to it.
That you can quickly throw some in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I can't believe it. Here we are. We wrapped up the first 10 in our top 100 games of all time.
Yeah, and I've learned some games that I had never heard of.
And I
got one that you never heard of.
and these are all great games, right? Even though they're this low on our 100 list, I will play these games at any time. They're all fun games.
Exactly. Like, I think both of our collections are over 1,000 games, so this is our top 10%.
Yeah, that's true. That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah. Yeah, and guess what? It's only going to get better from here.
Yeah, and I cannot wait to see what some of our crossovers will be, because I'm sure the further up the list we go, the more crossovers we'll have. Especially considering how many we've played together.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. I would like to say that these videos are probably going to come out a little infrequently based on our schedules, so there's no set schedule for the release of these. Whenever we have time, another one's going to come out. So stay tuned.
Yep.
They're coming. All right. Well, is there anything else you need to say?
Nah, just can't wait for the next 10.
Okie doke. Well,
Very excited.
We'll see you next time then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.